Breaking. Sadiq just cancelled a major royal event with King Charles set to attend. And what the king did next shattered 300 years of constitutional protocol. The mayor of London thought he had the power to override the crown. He was wrong. And what happened in the 90 minutes that followed could end Khan's political career forever. This isn't just another London controversy. This is a direct confrontation between elected power and royal authority. And Britain has never seen anything like it. If you want to see how this constitutional showdown ends, hit that subscribe button right now, because what we're about to reveal will shock you to your core. Here's what sparked the crisis that has Westminster in absolute meltdown. At 2:47 p.m. yesterday afternoon, Sadiq Khan's office released a terse statement, cancelling the King's Garden Bridge ceremony scheduled for this Saturday. His message was blunt and dismissive. Due to security concerns and logistical complications, the event cannot proceed as planned. But King Charles wasn't having it. The monarch wasn't consulted, wasn't informed, and wasn't even given the courtesy of a phone call before Khan made his announcement public. Charles found out the same way you did, by reading it on Twitter. And what the king did in response has left government officials absolutely speechless. His exact words were chilling and unprecedented. At 4:15 p.m., just 88 minutes after Khan's cancellation, Buckingham Palace issued a statement that broke every rule of modern royal protocol. His Majesty the King will attend the Garden Bridge ceremony as scheduled. The event will proceed under royal authority. Local officials are expected to provide appropriate support. Sources inside the palace described the king's mood as controlled fury. One senior aide, speaking on condition of anonymity, told us Charles was pacing the corridors of Buckingham Palace, his jaw clenched, his hands gripping a copy of Khan's statement so tightly the paper crumpled. "I have tolerated enough disrespect," the king allegedly said to his private secretary. The crown does not ask permission from mayors. Within hours, the constitutional hammer fell with devastating force. The Lord Chamberlain, the most senior official in the royal household, contacted the Home Secretary directly. The message was clear and unmistakable. The king expects full security provision. The event will proceed, and any interference will be considered a constitutional matter of the highest order. But wait, because there's another layer to this confrontation that makes Khan's decision even more shocking. The Garden Bridge ceremony wasn't just any royal appearance. It was personally requested by the families of 47 World War II veterans, 12 of whom are over 100 years old, who wanted to meet the king before, in their own words, they run out of time. These aren't just statistics or political talking points. These are men who stormed Normandy beaches, who flew Spitfires over burning London, who held the line when Nazi Germany threatened to destroy everything Britain stood for. Mary Patterson, the 98-year-old widow of a Battle of Britain pilot, had been preparing for 6 months to present Charles with her late husband's logbook. She'd had her best dress altered twice to make sure she looked presentable for her king. When she received the cancellation email, neighbours say she wept for 2 hours. "My Arthur died defending this country," she told reporters from her nursing home in Surrey, her voice barely above a whisper. "He never got to meet the Queen. I just wanted to honour his memory with the king." Now the mayor says it's inconvenient. Her story went viral within hours, shared over 800,000 times, with comment sections flooded with rage directed squarely at Sadiq Khan. Meanwhile, British veterans who were supposed to be honoured at this very ceremony are being treated like an afterthought in Khan's London. Colonel James Whitmore, an 82-year-old Falklands veteran from Cudden, had been waiting 6 months for this recognition. His medals earned in service to Queen and country were to be formally acknowledged by King Charles himself in a ceremony celebrating 150 years of the Garden Bridge Trust charitable work supporting former servicemen. "I survived Argentine bullets," Whitmore told reporters yesterday, his voice breaking. "I never thought I'd be defeated by a London mayor's signature on a cancellation form." He's one of 73 veterans who received cancellation notices via impersonal email just hours before Khan's public announcement. While these heroes are being dismissed and disrespected, City Hall staff are preparing for next week's £2.4 million Diversity Festival, featuring international artists and climate activists. We're talking luxury hotel accommodations for speakers, catered receptions with champagne and canapes, and promotional budgets that dwarf the entire annual funding for London's veteran support services. The contrast is so stark, so morally obscene, that even left-leaning London councillors are privately expressing disgust. One Labour councillor from Islington, refusing to be named for fear of party retribution, told us this cancellation proves what many have suspected for years. Con's priorities are about optics and progressive politics, not honouring the people who actually built and defended this nation. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the security excuse Con is hiding behind completely falls apart under the slightest scrutiny. Metropolitan police sources, speaking anonymously to protect their positions, have confirmed that no credible security threat was ever identified for Saturday's ceremony. In fact, the Met had already deployed a comprehensive security plan approved 3 weeks ago, involving 120 officers, counter-terrorism surveillance, and a secure perimeter identical to protocols used for previous royal events. "We were ready," one senior Met officer told us. The cancellation didn't come from us. It came from the political side. Even more damning, Transport for London had already coordinated road closures and public transport adjustments. The Garden Bridge Trust had arranged parking, crowd management, and emergency medical services. Every single logistical element was in place and functioning. So when Con claims logistical complications forced the cancellation, what he's really saying is that he decided personally and unilaterally that this event shouldn't happen. The evidence suggests this wasn't about safety or logistics at all. This was about one man's political calculation overriding the wishes of veterans, the King, and the British public. Then something unprecedented happened that nobody saw coming. Not political analysts, not constitutional experts, not even KHN himself. King Charles shattered 70 years of royal precedent with a move so bold it's being called the most significant assertion of royal authority since 1952. At the Royal Hospital, Chelsea, yesterday evening, he delivered remarks to assembled veterans that went far beyond ceremonial platitudes. "So, I have dedicated my life to serving the British people and honouring those who served before us," Charles declared, his voice steady but laced with unmistakable steel. "No elected official, regardless of their position, will prevent me from fulfilling that sacred duty." The room erupted in standing applause that lasted 4 full minutes. Veterans, some in wheelchairs, some using walking frames, rose to their feet with tears streaming down weathered faces. But here's the part that has constitutional scholars in absolute shock. Charles didn't just make a speech. He invoked a rarely used royal prerogative, allowing the Crown to requisition public spaces for ceremonies of national importance. The legal mechanism, buried in statutes dating back to George III, gives the monarch authority to override local government decisions when matters of national heritage are at stake. Palace insiders reveal this wasn't a spontaneous decision, but a carefully planned constitutional counterstrike, prepared over months of growing frustration with Con's administration. The optics are absolutely devastating for the mayor. While KHN hides behind security concerns and procedural excuses, the King stands with veterans in front of cameras, looking every inch the defender of British tradition and honour. The domino effect has been swift and merciless. Within 2 hours of the King's Chelsea speech, £1.7 billion was pledged by private donors to support the Garden Bridge ceremony under royal patronage, completely bypassing City Hall funding. Major British companies, sensing which way public opinion was flowing, announced sponsorships. Marks and Spencer pledged catering services. John Lewis offered commemorative gifts for every veteran attending. Even American Express UK committed £250,000 to support veteran charities connected to the event. Westminster politicians from all parties began distancing themselves from KHN at remarkable speed. Even Labour MP representing London constituencies issued carefully worded statements supporting the ceremony and praising the King's commitment to veterans. West Streeting, the health secretary and a rising Labour star, went further than most, posting on social media, "Our veterans deserve honour and recognition. I hope this situation can be resolved appropriately." That statement, carefully avoiding direct criticism of KHN while clearly opposing the cancellation, signals how isolated the mayor has become, even within his own party. International reactions poured in with brutal clarity. Canadian Prime Minister expressed support for honouring Commonwealth service members. Australian officials called the cancellation disappointing and praised Charles for standing firm. New Zealand's opposition leader went further, calling Con's decision an insult to the Anzac spirit. Polls showed devastating numbers for the mayor. Snap YouGov survey found 81% of Londoners believed the ceremony should proceed as planned. Among over 50 seconds, the demographic that actually votes in mayoral elections, disapproval of KHN cancellation hit 89%. Even among younger Londoners aged 18 to 34, traditionally KHN's strongest supporters, 62% oppose the cancellation. Those numbers represent a complete collapse of public support across every demographic. Hashtag Defend Our King trended globally for 11 straight hours, generating 4.2 million engagements. Protests erupted outside City Hall with over 2,000 people, many of them elderly veterans in uniform, demanding Con reverse his decision. Police had to form protective barriers. The scenes were extraordinary, peaceful, but deeply emotional, with Union Jacks waving and voices chanting, "God save the King," loud enough to rattle the windows of Con's fifth-floor office. Organisers say tomorrow's protest could draw 10,000 people, potentially the largest demonstration against a sitting London mayor in modern history. Inside City Hall, the atmosphere is being described as complete panic and absolute chaos. Staff members are in open rebellion against Con's decision. 3 senior advisors have privately told colleagues they're considering resignation. Emergency meetings ran past midnight last night, with shouting matches erupting between KHN loyalists and those urging immediate reversal. Deputy Mayor for Culture allegedly confronted KHN directly, calling the cancellation political suicide. "You've handed the Conservatives and Reform UK the perfect weapon," she reportedly screamed during a heated exchange witnessed by a dozen staffers. WhatsApp groups with names like London Labour Survival are exploding with messages from councillors desperately trying to distance themselves from the mayor's decision. The question isn't if KHN will be forced to back down anymore. It's whether he can survive the political fallout when he does. One longtime City Hall observer told us Con looked visibly shaken during a brief public appearance this morning, avoiding eye contact with reporters, his usual confidence completely absent. His hands trembled slightly as he shuffled papers, and he left without taking questions, something he never does when he's confident in his position. But here's the layer that could trigger Con's complete political collapse. Leaked internal documents from City Hall, obtained by sources close to the situation, show the real reason for the cancellation had nothing to do with security or logistics. According to these documents, Con's team feared the optics of King Charles honouring predominantly white British veterans, while the mayor has been promoting diversity initiatives and immigration advocacy. One memo allegedly written by Con's chief of staff explicitly states, "The Garden Bridge ceremony presents problematic optics given our current strategic messaging around inclusive London. Recommend postponement pending. Reframing of event narrative." If these documents are real, and if they show what multiple sources are claiming, then Con didn't cancel for safety reasons. He cancelled because honouring British veterans didn't fit his political agenda. Think about what that means for a mayor of London, the city that withstood the Blitz, to cancel honouring heroes because their service doesn't align with modern progressive messaging. The optics of that revelation would be absolutely catastrophic and career-ending. Several journalists are reportedly verifying the documents right now, and if they publish, KHN won't survive the week. What hasn't been reported yet is the palace's private response to these leaked documents. According to highly placed sources, when King Charles was briefed on the contents of Con's internal memos, his reaction was one of profound sadness mixed with steely determination. This confirms everything. Charles reportedly told his closest advisors during a private dinner at Clarence House last night. We're not dealing with a disagreement over scheduling. We're dealing with someone who fundamentally doesn't understand what it means to be British. Those words, if accurately reported, represent the most damning royal assessment of an elected official in living memory. The palace is now reportedly preparing a comprehensive dossier, documenting every instance of what they consider disrespect from KHN administration over the past 3 years, ready to be released if the mayor attempts to further obstruct Saturday's ceremony. This isn't just a battle over one event anymore. This has become a fundamental clash over British identity, national values, and who gets to define what matters in modern Britain. Meanwhile, Conservative leader Kemi Bodo is absolutely seizing this moment with ruthless precision. While Khan stumbles through damage control and Labour leadership maintains uncomfortable silence, Bodo appeared on BBC Question Time last night and delivered a masterclass in political opportunity. When a mayor prioritizes political correctness over honoring our veterans, she said, looking directly into the camera, he proves he's unfit to lead Britain's capital city. The audience erupted in applause. While KHN scrambles and his administration fractures, Badenoch appears strong, decisive, and unambiguously on the side of tradition and respect. Her quote is being shared across every platform, turning her into the voice of British common sense against progressive excess. The polls tell the remarkable story of this shift. Conservative support in London has surged 7 points in 48 hours from 31% to 38%. For the first time in 3 years, the Tories are competitive in mayoral polling. KHN approval rating has crashed from 52% to 39%. A 13-point collapse in 2 days that political analysts are calling unprecedented. Even more telling, Reform UK has jumped to 19% in London polling, their highest ever, drawing support from disillusioned Labour voters who feel the party has abandoned British values and working-class priorities. Badenoch isn't just scoring political points anymore. She's positioning herself as the defender of the Britain that older voters remember and desperately want back. Nigel Farage, never one to miss an opportunity, has entered the fray with his characteristic directness and devastating effectiveness. Speaking at a Reform UK rally in Essex last night, Farage connected KHN's cancellation to what he calls a systematic erasure of British history and culture. They want you to forget your heroes, Farage told a crowd of 3,000 supporters. They want you to be ashamed of your history. They want you to apologise for being British. Well, I've got news for Sadiq. We will never apologise for honouring the men and women who saved this nation. The crowd roared its approval. Farage then announced that Reform UK would organise transportation for any veteran who wants to attend Saturday's ceremony, regardless of Khan's position. Within 24 hours, over 400 volunteers signed up to drive veterans from across southern England. The grassroots response has been overwhelming, with donations flooding in to cover fuel costs, accommodation, and meals. What started as a royal ceremony has transformed into a populist movement, and Farage is riding that wave with perfect political timing. The next 72 hours are absolutely critical for everyone involved. Khan faces a no-confidence motion from Conservative councillors that Labour members may secretly support. The leaked documents could drop any moment, potentially triggering criminal investigations into misconduct in public office. King Charles is scheduled to meet with the Home Secretary tomorrow morning, a meeting that royal watchers say will determine whether this becomes a full constitutional crisis or gets quietly resolved behind closed doors. The Garden Bridge ceremony is still set for Saturday at 11:00 a.m., and all indicators suggest the King will absolutely attend regardless of what Khan does. Britain is watching a mayor who overreached spectacularly get systematically dismantled by the Crown, by public opinion, by his own party, and by the democratic process in real time. This crisis will be studied for decades as the moment an elected official forgot that in Britain some institutions are bigger than politics, older than progressive ideology, and more beloved than any mayor could ever hope to be. At its epicenter stands Sadiq, who looks increasingly isolated, increasingly desperate, and increasingly finished as a political force in British life. So here's the question that matters. Did Sadiq just destroy his career by taking on the king? Does Charles's constitutional power move set a precedent that changes British politics forever? Or will Khan somehow survive by backing down and apologizing? What do you think happens when the ceremony takes place on Saturday? Does Khan show up and humiliate himself, or does he stay away and look even worse? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one, and we want to hear your predictions. And if this story shocked you as much as it shocked us, share it with everyone who needs to see what's really happening in London right now. The mainstream media is downplaying this constitutional showdown, but we're giving you the full truth. Next video, we're going to reveal exactly what was discussed in those leaked City Hall documents and why 3 more officials are reportedly preparing to resign. This story is far from over. Britain is changing before our